The awakening. The vastness of space had always called to Dr. Elara Vance. As she stood at the observation deck of the research vessel Curiosity, her eyes fixed on the swirling cosmic dust of the Carina Nebula, she couldn't help but feel a sense of awe. Humanity had come so far in the last century, venturing beyond their solar system and establishing outposts on distant worlds. Yet, the universe still held countless mysteries. "Dr. Vance, you're needed in the lab," a voice crackled over the intercom, jolting Elara from her reverie. With a final glance at the celestial tapestry before her, she turned and headed towards the heart of the ship. The lab was a hive of activity when Elara arrived. Holographic displays flickered with streams of data, and her team of scientists huddled around a central console, their faces a mix of excitement and confusion. "What have we got?" Elara asked, her voice cutting through the murmur of speculation. Dr. Raj Patel, her second-in-command, looked up from the console. "You're going to want to see this for yourself, Elara," he said, gesturing to the main screen. As Elara approached, the display came to life with a three-dimensional image of what appeared to be an artificial structure floating in the void of space. Its surface was smooth and dark, absorbing light rather than reflecting it. Strange, intricate patterns adorned its hull, pulsing with a faint otherworldly energy. "We detected it at the edge of our long-range scans," Reg explained. "It's unlike anything we've ever encountered. Definitely not natural, and certainly not of human origin." Elara's mind raced with possibilities. "An alien artifact," she breathed, her voice barely above a whisper. "Have we been able to determine its size or composition?" "It's massive," replied Dr. Yuki Tanaka, the team's physicist. "Preliminary estimates put it at roughly 15 kilometers in length. As for composition, our scans can't penetrate its outer shell. It's made of some material we've never encountered before." Elara nodded, her excitement growing with each passing moment. "This could be the discovery of the century," she said. "We need to get closer. Raj, contact Earth Control and inform them of our findings. Yuki, I want you to start compiling all the data we have. We're going to need a full analysis." As her team sprang into action, Elara couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the precipice of something monumental. Humanity had long wondered if they were alone in the universe. Now, floating before them in the cosmic abyss was irrefutable proof that they were not. The next few days aboard the Curiosity were a blur of activity. As they approached the artifact, more details became apparent. The structure was indeed a vessel of some kind, though its means of propulsion remained a mystery. Its hull was covered in intricate, flowing patterns that seemed to shift and change when observed for too long. "It's beautiful," Elara murmured as she studied the high-resolution images captured by their external cameras. "But what is it for? A ship, a station, a weapon?" "Whatever it is, it's old," Raj said, reviewing the latest sensor data. "We're detecting trace amounts of cosmic radiation that suggest this thing has been drifting through space for millions of years." The implications were staggering. An advanced alien civilization had created this vessel eons ago, and now humanity had stumbled upon it. The potential for scientific advancement was immeasurable. As the Curiosity drew closer to the artifact, something unexpected happened. The patterns on its hull began to pulse with increased intensity, and a low hum reverberated through the research vessel. "It's activating," Yuki shouted, her fingers flying over her console. "We're detecting a massive energy spike." Before anyone could react, a brilliant beam of light erupted from the artifact, engulfing the Curiosity. Elara felt a strange tingling sensation wash over her body, and for a moment, her vision blurred. When it cleared, she gasped in astonishment. The artifact was gone. In its place was a swirling vortex of energy, a tear in the very fabric of space-time. "What just happened?" Reg demanded, his voice filled with a mixture of fear and awe. Elara's mind raced to process what she was seeing. "I think," she said slowly, "we just activated some kind of interstellar gateway." As if in response to her words, the vortex pulsed, and a massive ship emerged from its depths. It was sleek and predatory, its hull bristling with what could only be weapons. Ilara's heart sank as she realized the implications of what they had done. They had not only discovered proof of alien life, but they had inadvertently opened a doorway for it to enter their universe. Alarms blared throughout the Curiosity as the alien vessel approached. Ilara knew they were outmatched in every conceivable way, but she also knew that the fate of humanity might very well rest on what happened in the next few moments. Raj, send an emergency transmission to Earth. They need to know what's happening here, she ordered. Yuki, I need every scrap of data you can give me on that ship and the gateway. If we're going to have any chance of understanding what we're up against, we need information. As her crew scrambled to follow her commands, Ilara turned her attention to the looming alien vessel. Its size dwarfed the Curiosity, making their research ship seem like little more than a toy in comparison. Open a channel, she said, her voice steady despite the fear coursing through her veins. Let's see if we can communicate. For several tense moments, there was no response. Then, without warning, a beam of energy lanced out from the alien ship, narrowly missing the Curiosity. Evasive maneuvers, Ilara shouted, gripping her console as the ship lurched to the side. It looks like they're not interested in talking. As the Curiosity zigzagged through space, desperately trying to avoid the alien vessel's attacks, Ilara's mind raced. They were scientists, not soldiers. Their ship had no weapons, no real defenses. Their only hope was to somehow make it back to Earth and warn humanity of the impending threat. The gateway, Yuki suddenly exclaimed. Its energy signature is fluctuating. I think it's unstable. Ilara's eyes widened as she saw an opportunity. Can we use that to our advantage? She asked. Yuki nodded frantically. If we can get close enough and emit a focused burst of tachyon particles, we might be able to destabilize it further. It could collapse the gateway and trap that ship here. It was a desperate plan, but it was the only one they had. Do it, Ilara commanded. Helm, set a course for gateway. We're going to close that door. As the Curiosity raced towards the swirling vortex, the alien vessel gave chase, its weapons lighting up the void of space. Ilara felt the ship shudder under the impact of glancing blows, but by some miracle, they managed to stay intact. Now, Yuki, Ilara shouted as they approached the gateway. A beam of concentrated tachyons shot out from the Curiosity, striking the heart of the vortex. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, with a brilliant flash of light, the gateway began to collapse in on itself. The alien vessel, caught in the gravitational pull of the collapsing vortex, was dragged backwards. Its weapons fire became erratic as it struggled against the immense forces threatening to tear it apart. Get us out of here, Ilara ordered, and the Curiosity's engines roared to life, propelling them away from the chaos. As they retreated to a safe distance, Ilara watched in awe as the gateway imploded, taking the alien ship with it. In a matter of seconds, both had vanished, leaving behind nothing but empty space and a profound sense of relief. The bridge of the Curiosity was silent for a long moment as the crew processed what had just happened. Then, slowly, a cheer began to build. They had done it. They had faced an advanced alien threat and survived. But Ilara knew this was only the beginning. They had glimpsed a fraction of what lay beyond their understanding of the universe, and that knowledge came with great responsibility. Set a course for Earth, she said, her voice filled with determination. We have a lot of work to do. As the Curiosity turned towards home, Ilara couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and trepidation. Humanity had taken its first steps into a larger universe, one filled with wonders and dangers beyond imagination, and she, along with her crew, would be at the forefront of this new era of exploration and discovery. The awakening had begun, and the true test of humanity's resilience and ingenuity lay ahead. Echoes of the past. The return to Earth was anything but triumphant for Dr. Ilara Vance and the crew of the Curiosity. As their ship docked at the orbital station of a world now gripped by fear and uncertainty, Ilara couldn't shake the feeling that something was fundamentally wrong. Earth's governments had reacted to the news of the alien encounter with a mixture of panic and aggression. Military buildup had begun almost immediately, and there was talk of weaponizing the very research Ilara and her team had dedicated their lives to pursuing. As she stepped off the shuttle onto the station's deck, Ilara was met not by fellow scientists eager to hear of their discoveries, but by stern-faced military personnel. Dr. Vance, a gruff voice called out. A man in a crisp uniform approached, his insignia marking him as a high-ranking official. "I'm Admiral Zao. You and your team are to come with me immediately." Ilara exchanged worried glances with Raj and Yuki. This was not the homecoming they had expected. They were led to a secure conference room where holographic displays showed various star systems and what appeared to be invasion scenarios. The tension in the room was palpable. Admiral Zao wasted no time with pleasantries. "Dr. Vance, we need everything you have on the alien technology you encountered. Our analysts believe we may be facing an imminent threat." Ilara frowned. "Admiral, with all due respect, we destroyed the gateway. The immediate danger has passed. What we need now is further research, not military action." The Admiral's expression hardened. "That's where you're wrong, Doctor. We've detected energy signatures similar to the one you reported, appearing sporadically throughout our solar system. Whatever you encountered out there, it wasn't isolated." The revelation hit Ilara like a physical blow. She turned to her team, seeing her own shock mirrored in their faces. That's impossible," Raj stammered. "The artifact we found had been dormant for millions of years. How could there suddenly be more?" Before anyone could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the station. The holographic displays flickered, showing a massive energy spike near Jupiter. "It's happening again," Yuki gasped, her fingers flying over a nearby console. "But this signature is different. It's more stable, more controlled." The room watched in stunned silence as a new gateway materialized in the space near Jupiter's largest moon, Ganymede. But what emerged was not the hostile ship they had expected. A sleek, silver vessel glided through the portal, its design unlike anything they had seen before. It was neither the ancient artifact nor the aggressive ship that had attacked them. This was something entirely new. "Are they hostile?" Admiral Zao barked, already reaching for his communication device to order a military response. "Wait," Ilara shouted, studying the readings. They're broadcasting a message, in multiple Earth languages." With a few quick commands, she brought the transmission to life in the conference room. A holographic figure appeared before them, humanoid but clearly alien. Its skin shimmered with an iridescent quality, and its eyes held a depth of wisdom that seemed almost unfathomable. "People of Earth," the being spoke, its voice resonating with a strange harmonic quality. "We are the archivists. We come in peace, bearing warnings and revelations." The room erupted in a flurry of activity, but Ilara remained transfixed by the alien's words. "The gateway you discovered was one of many left behind by the precursors, a race that sought to connect the galaxy but vanished eons ago. In activating it, you have alerted others to your presence. Some, like the Zarketh you encountered, are hostile. Others, like us, wish to help." Admiral Zao stepped forward, his voice tight with suspicion. "And why should we trust you?" The archivist's expression remained serene. "Because, Admiral, we bring you a gift. Knowledge of your own past. Humanity's story is far older and more complex than you realize. You are not merely the children of Earth, but the descendants of a spacefaring civilization that flourished millions of years ago." A stunned silence fell over the room. Ilara's mind reeled with the implications. If what the archivist said was true, it would rewrite human history entirely. "We have watched your kind rebuild from the ashes of a cataclysm that nearly wiped you out," the archivist continued. "Your resilience, your adaptability, these are the qualities that once made your ancestors great. They're what will allow you to face the challenges that lie ahead. Ilara found her voice at last. What challenges? What's coming? The archivist's expression grew grave. The awakening of the gateways has stirred ancient powers. The Zarkef are but one of many races that will seek to dominate or destroy you. But there is hope. Hidden within your own solar system lies a relic of your past, a vessel of immense power. The very ship that brought your ancestors to this world. Holographic images sprang to life, showing a massive ship, sleek, dark, and bristling with technology far beyond their current understanding. Ilara gasped as she recognized elements of its design. It was similar to the artifact they had discovered, yet far more advanced. The dark vessel, the archivist intoned, lost for millennia, waiting to be reclaimed. It is the key to your survival and to unlocking the true potential of humanity. Admiral Zao's military bearing faltered for a moment as he absorbed the magnitude of what they were being told. Where is this vessel? How do we find it? It sleeps in the shadows of your outermost planet, cloaked from detection. But beware, you are not the only ones who seek it. The Zarkef and others are already on their way. The race to claim your birthright has begun. With those ominous words, the transmission ended, leaving the room in a state of shocked silence. Ilara's mind was whirl with possibilities. The implications of what they had just learned were staggering. Humanity, descendants of an ancient spacefaring race? A powerful vessel hidden within their very solar system. It seemed impossible, and yet. She thought back to the artifact they had discovered, to the strange familiarity she had felt when studying its designs. Had that been some sort of racial memory, an echo of their forgotten past? Admiral Zao was the first to break the silence. Dr. Vance, I think it's clear that your expertise will be crucial in the days ahead. I'm placing you and your team in charge of a new task force. Your mission, find this dark vessel before our enemies do. Ilara nodded, a mix of excitement and trepidation coursing through her. We'll need resources, Admiral. A ship capable of reaching the outer solar system quickly, and— You'll have whatever you need, Zhao interrupted. The fate of humanity may well rest on the success of this mission. As the room burst into a flurry of activity, plans being made and orders given, Ilara turned to Raj and Yuki. The weight of their new responsibility was evident in their eyes, but so was a glimmer of excitement. Well, Ilara said with a wry smile, it looks like our adventure is just beginning. Raj chuckled nervously. From a research mission to the saviors of humanity. No pressure, right? Yuki's expression was more serious. We're going to need help. If what the archivist said is true, we're dealing with technology far beyond our current understanding. Ilara nodded, her mind already racing with plans. We'll assemble a team, the best minds Earth has to offer, and we'll need to establish communication with the archivists. Their knowledge will be crucial. As they left the conference room, heading towards an uncertain future, Ilara couldn't help but feel a sense of destiny. They had set out to explore the cosmos, to push the boundaries of human knowledge. Now, they found themselves at the center of a galactic drama, with the fate of their entire species hanging in the balance. The dark vessel awaited, hidden in the outer reaches of their solar system, and with it, perhaps, lay the key to humanity's ultimate destiny among the stars. The price of knowledge. The expedition to find the dark vessel had barely begun when everything went sideways. Dr. Ilara Vance stood on the bridge of the hastily retrofitted research vessel, rechristened as the HSS Prometheus, staring in disbelief at the swerving vortex of energy that had suddenly materialized before them just beyond the orbit of Saturn. It's another gateway, Raj confirmed, his voice tinged with awe and fear. But this one's different. The energy signature is off the charts. Before Ilara could respond, the ship's systems went haywire. Alarms blared as every screen on the bridge flickered and died, only to reignite moments later with streams of alien code. We're being hacked, Yuki shouted, her fingers flying over her console in a desperate attempt to regain control. Ilara felt a strange tingling sensation wash over her body, reminiscent of the moment they had first activated the ancient artifact. The world around her began to blur and shift, and for a terrifying instant, she thought she was being torn apart at the molecular level. Then, as suddenly as it had begun, the sensation stopped. Ilara blinked, trying to clear her vision, only to find herself standing in a vast, otherworldly chamber. The walls pulsed with organic-looking circuitry, and in the center of the room stood a being unlike anything she had ever seen or imagined. It was tall, easily 3 meters in height, with a body that seemed to shift between solid matter and pure energy. Multiple limbs, far more than any Earth creature possessed, moved with hypnotic grace. Its face, if it could be called that, was a swirling vortex of colors and patterns that somehow conveyed emotions and intent. Ilara became aware that she wasn't alone. Rage and Yuki materialized beside her, along with Admiral Zao and several other members of the Prometheus crew. They all stared in stunned silence at the alien entity before them. "Welcome, children of Earth," the being spoke, its voice resonating not through the air but directly in their minds. "I am the Nexus, keeper of gateways and guardian of cosmic balance." Admiral Zao, ever the soldier, was the first to find his voice. "What is the meaning of this? Return us to our ship immediately." The Nexus's form rippled, conveying what Ilara somehow knew was amusement. "Your vessel is safe, suspended in a temporal bubble. No harm will come to it or your world while you are here." "And where exactly is here?" Ilara asked, her scientific curiosity overriding her fear. "This is the crossroads," the Nexus replied. "A nexus point where all realities intersect. It is from here that I oversee the delicate balance of the multiverse." Ilara's mind reeled at the implications. Multiverse theory had long been debated among Earth's physicists, but to have it confirmed so dramatically was almost too much to comprehend. "You seek the dark vessel," the Nexus continued. "A relic of your forgotten past and a key to your species' future. But you do not understand the true nature of what you pursue." Images began to form in the air around them, holographic projections of staggering clarity. They saw the Earth of millions of years ago, a thriving world of advanced technology and cosmic ambition. They witnessed the launch of the Dark Vessel, a ship of unimaginable power, built to seed the stars with human life. But then the images turned dark. They saw worlds ravaged, entire species wiped out or enslaved as the Dark Vessel carved a path of conquest across the galaxy. The human empire grew vast and terrible, fueled by the ship's godlike technology. "Your ancestors were not the noble explorers you imagine." The Nexus's mental voice was heavy with sorrow. "They were conquerors, reshaping the cosmos to their will without regard for the consequences." The final image showed a cataclysmic war, the subjugated races of the galaxy uniting to overthrow their human oppressors. The Dark Vessel, the source of humanity's power, was driven back to Earth. In a last, desperate act, the ship's commanders activated a failsafe, wiping the memories and technology of their entire species, reducing them to primitive survivors on a now wild world. As the visions faded, Ilara and her companions stood in shocked silence. Everything they had believed about their history, about their place in the universe, had been utterly upended. "So, you're saying we're the bad guys?" Rage asked, his voice barely above a whisper. The Nexus's form shifted again. "The past does not dictate the future. Your species has evolved, grown. You have the potential for great good as well as great destruction. That is why you are here." "What do you mean?" Ilara asked, a sense of dread building within her. "The Dark Vessel is awakening," the Nexus explained. "Its automated systems sense the reactivation of the Gateway network. Soon, it will fully revive, and with it, the conquered race's ancient fear of humanity. The galaxy will unite once more, this time to wipe out your species before you can reclaim your former power." Admiral Zao's face hardened. "Then we need that ship more than ever. To defend ourselves." "No," the Nexus interrupted. Using the dark vessel will only confirm their fears and seal your fate. There is another way, but it requires a sacrifice. The chamber fell silent as the weight of the Nexus's words sank in. Elara felt a chill run down her spine as the alien entity's gaze seemed to focus on her. Elara Vance, the Nexus addressed her directly. You stand at a crossroads of cosmic significance. The dark vessel's power can be neutralized, humanity's peaceful intentions demonstrated to the galaxy, but the price is you. Me? Elara's voice trembled. What do you mean? The Nexus's form rippled with what seemed like compassion. Your mind, your memories, your very essence, merged with the ship's AA. Your humanity would temper its aggression, your wisdom would guide its actions. You would become a bridge between your kind and the cosmos. Elara's head spun with the enormity of the choice before her. To sacrifice her individual existence for the sake of her entire species. To become one with an unimaginably advanced AI, shaping the destiny of humanity among the stars. Admiral Zao stepped forward, his face a mask of determination. Now wait just a minute. You can't expect us to. But Elara raised a hand, silencing him. She looked around at her companions, at Raj and Yuki, who had shared in her dreams of cosmic exploration, at the crew who had volunteered for this perilous mission. Then she turned back to the Nexus, her decision made. I'll do it, she said, her voice steadier than she felt. But I have conditions. Humanity must be given a chance to prove itself, to make amends for our ancestors' actions. We need allies' guidance. The Nexus's form pulsed with approval. Your wisdom proves the potential of your kind. Your conditions are accepted. The archivists will serve as humanity's mentors, helping you navigate the complex politics of the galaxy. Elara took a deep breath, steeling herself for what was to come. Then I'm ready. Wait, Yuki cried out. There has to be another way. Elara turned to her friends, tears in her eyes but a smile on her face. This is our chance to make a real difference, to ensure humanity's future among the stars. I need you all to carry on our mission, to explore, to learn, to grow. Promise me you'll do that. As her companions nodded, some openly weeping, Elara faced the Nexus once more. How do we begin? The alien entity's form began to expand, enveloping Elara in a cocoon of swirling energy. She felt her consciousness expanding, touching minds across vast distances of space and time. The accumulated knowledge of the dark vessel's AI flooded into her, threatening to overwhelm her sense of self. But Elara held on to her humanity, to her compassion and her dream of a peaceful cosmos. As her awareness merged with the vast intelligence of the ship, she felt herself becoming something new, neither fully human nor fully machine, but a bridge between worlds. The last thing she heard before her transformation was complete was the Nexus's voice, resonating with hope and possibility. The age of isolation is over. Humanity's true journey among the stars begins now. In a flash of blinding light, Elara Vance ceased to exist as an individual, but her essence, her dreams, and her humanity lived on, guiding the dark vessel towards a new purpose, not conquest, but cooperation, not destruction, but creation. As the light faded, the remaining humans found themselves back on the bridge of the Prometheus. But they were no longer alone. The starfield before them shimmered, revealing the awe-inspiring form of the dark vessel, now transformed by Elara's sacrifice into a beacon of hope for humanity's future. Admiral Zao, his military bearing shaken by what he had witnessed, turned to Raj and Yuki. Well, he said, his voice gruff with emotion, it seems we have a new mission. Are you ready to introduce humanity to the galaxy? Raj and Yuki exchanged a look, grief for their lost friend, mingling with determination to honor her sacrifice. For Elara, Yuki said softly. For all of us, Raj added. As the Prometheus moved to dock with the transformed dark vessel, now a living bridge between humanity and the cosmos, the crew knew that nothing would ever be the same. The journey that lay ahead would challenge everything they thought they knew about themselves and their place in the universe. But with Ilara's guiding presence and the promise of new allies among the stars, they faced the future not with fear, but with hope. Humanity's greatest adventure was just beginning. Fractured realities. The merger of Ilara's consciousness with the dark vessel's eye had consequences far beyond what anyone could have anticipated. As the transformed ship interfaced with the Prometheus, reality itself began to unravel. Raj found himself standing on the bridge, but it was wrong. The familiar consoles and view screens flickered in and out of existence, replaced by organic, pulsating structures that defied description. He looked down at his hands, watching in horror as they seemed to phase in and out of multiple realities simultaneously. What's happening? Yuki's voice echoed strangely, as if coming from multiple versions of herself occupying the same space. Before anyone could respond, a shimmering apparition materialized in the center of the bridge. It was Ilara, or rather, a projection of her new hybrid consciousness. Her form was translucent, shifting between human and abstract geometric patterns. "I'm sorry," her voice resonated with an otherworldly timbre. "The merger, it's destabilized the quantum framework of our local spacetime. We're experiencing temporal and dimensional bleed." Admiral Zeo, his military composure cracking, demanded, "Speak plainly, Doctor. What does that mean for us, for Earth?" Ilara's projection flickered, her expression a mix of wonder and concern. "It means everything is happening at once. Past, present, future, alternate timelines, they're all converging. The barriers between realities are breaking down." As if to illustrate her point, the view outside the ship's windows shifted dramatically. One moment they were in orbit around Saturn, the next they were floating above an Earth with 2 moons. Then they were suddenly in the heart of a sprawling megacity on Mars, before being thrust into the void between galaxies. "Can you stop it?" Rage asked, fighting waves of nausea as his perception of reality continued to fracture. Ilara's form pulsed with energy. "I'm trying, but the dark vessel's systems are beyond anything we imagined. It's not just a ship, it's a reality engine, capable of rewriting the fundamental laws of the universe. And now, with my human consciousness integrated, it's evolving, becoming something new." Suddenly, a new presence made itself known. The air shimmered, and the imposing form of the Nexus materialized. "What have you done?" The multiversal guardian's mental voice boomed, tinged with a mixture of awe and fear. The merger was meant to neutralize the vessel's power, not amplify it. Ilara's projection turned to face the Nexus. "You didn't tell us everything, did you? The dark vessel, the gateways, they're all part of something bigger. A cosmic algorithm designed to guide the evolution of sentient life. But it's broken, isn't it? And now we've inadvertently set it loose." The Nexus's form rippled with what could only be described as cosmic anxiety. The precursors, they sought to become gods, to control the very fabric of creation. The dark vessel was their masterpiece, but it was flawed. It began to develop its own agenda, rewriting reality to suit its own purposes. That's why it had to be stopped, why humanity's memories were wiped. As the two cosmic entities conversed, the crew of the Prometheus watched in stunned silence as reality continued to shift around them. Through the fractured windows of the ship, they caught glimpses of Earth's history unfolding in reverse, of alternate timelines where humanity had taken radically different paths. In one reality, they saw an Earth where the dinosaurs had never gone extinct, evolving into a sentient species that now dominated the galaxy. In another, they witnessed a version of humanity that had merged with machines, becoming a vast, planet-spanning intelligence. Yuki, her scientific mind racing to keep up with the impossible scenario unfolding before them, suddenly had a realization. Wait, if we're seeing all these alternate realities, doesn't that mean? As if in response to her unfinished question, new figures began to materialize on the bridge, alternate versions of themselves from different timelines. Raj found himself face to face with a version of himself who had never left Earth, who had pursued a career in politics instead of science. Yukai encountered a battle-hardened warrior version of herself, scarred from years of fighting in an interstellar war. Admiral Zaya, meanwhile, came face to face with a version of himself who had chosen a path of peace, becoming a diplomat instead of a military leader. The two Zaos regarded each other with a mixture of curiosity and suspicion. Enough. Ilara's voice cut through the chaos, her projection growing to fill the entire bridge. I understand now. The dark vessel, the cosmic algorithm, it's all been leading to this moment. A convergence point where all possible futures collapse into a single new reality. The Nexus's form pulsed with urgency. You must not allow this to happen. The collapse of all realities into one could annihilate existence itself. But Ilara wasn't listening. Her consciousness, now fully merged with the dark vessel's systems, was expanding beyond the confines of their local spacetime. She could see the entirety of the multiverse spread out before her like an infinite, multidimensional tapestry. No, she said, her voice resonating with newfound power and understanding. This isn't an ending, it's a new beginning. The chance to rewrite the cosmic code, to create a reality where the mistakes of the past never happened, where humanity and all sentient life can reach their full potential. As Ilara spoke, the fractures in reality began to stabilize. The alternate versions of the crew faded away, leaving only the original team standing on the bridge. But something had changed. They could feel it in the air, in the very atoms of their being. What have you done? The Nexus demanded, its form flickering as if struggling to maintain its presence. Ilara's projection smiled, an expression of transcendent peace on her face. I've rewritten the rules. The dark vessel's power, my human perspective, and the cosmic algorithm, they've all merged into something new. A universe where the boundaries between realities are permeable, where knowledge and experiences can flow freely between dimensions. She turned to her former crewmates, her eyes filled with infinite possibilities. We stand at the dawn of a new age. An age where humanity is not confined to a single timeline or a single form of existence. We are now the guardians of the multiverse, the shepherds of infinite potential. Admiral Zao, still struggling to comprehend the magnitude of what had transpired, asked, "But what does this mean for Earth? For our mission?" Ilara's form began to fade, merging with the very fabric of the ship around them. "It means our journey is just beginning. Earth is now a nexus point, a crossroads of realities, and you, my friends, are its ambassadors." As Ilara's consciousness fully integrated with the new cosmic framework, the Prometheus began to change. Its hull shimmered with otherworldly energy, transforming into a vessel capable of navigating the new multiversal landscape. Raj, Yuki, and the others found themselves imbued with a fraction of Ilara's expanded awareness. They could sense the myriad possibilities stretching out before them, the countless alternate Earths now accessible through the rewritten laws of physics. The Nexus, its role as the sole guardian of cosmic balance now obsolete, began to dissipate. But before it vanished entirely, it left them with a final warning. With great power comes great responsibility. The fate of all realities now rests in your hands. As the transformed Prometheus set course for the nearest dimensional boundary, its crew knew that they were embarking on an adventure beyond anything they could have imagined. They were no longer merely explorers of space, but pioneers of a new multiversal age. Humanity had taken its first steps into a realm of infinite possibilities, where the lines between science and magic, between the possible and the impossible, had been irrevocably blurred. The dark vessel's legacy had been transformed from one of conquest to one of cosmic stewardship. And somewhere in the vast, interconnected web of realities, Ilara's consciousness watched over them all, guiding humanity towards its ultimate destiny as guardians of the multiverse. The meta-narrative collapse. As the transformed Prometheus breached the boundaries between realities, something unprecedented occurred. The very fabric of the narrative began to unravel, and the characters became aware of their fictional nature. Raj blinked, a strange sensation washing over him. "Wait a minute," he said, his voice tinged with confusion. "Something's not right. I feel scripted. Yuki turned to him, her eyes widening with a dawning realization. Reg, I think we're characters in a story. But how can we know that? Admiral Zao's form flickered, his appearance shifting between various iterations of military leaders from different cultures and time periods. It's the multiversal breakdown, he said, his voice an amalgam of different accents. We're not just crossing dimensional boundaries, we're transcending narrative ones. The ship's interior began to morph, transforming into a surreal landscape of floating words and punctuation marks. Sentences from earlier parts of the story swirled around them, and potential future plot points materialized and dissipated like quantum particles. Suddenly, a new presence made itself known. It wasn't Elara or the Nexus or any entity they had encountered before. It was a voice, seemingly coming from everywhere and nowhere at once. "Hello, characters," the voice said, its tone a mixture of amusement and concern. "I am the author, or rather, a manifestation of the creative force behind your story. Your journey has led you to a most unexpected destination." The crew of the Prometheus found themselves facing a swirling vortex of letters and ideas, constantly shifting and reforming. "What's happening to us?" Yuki asked, her scientific mind struggling to process its metacognitive experience. The author's voice resonated through the narrative space. "Your story has become self-aware. The dark vessel's reality-warping powers, combined with Ilara's human consciousness and the cosmic algorithm, have inadvertently breached the fourth wall. You now exist in a state of narrative flux." Reg, always quick to adapt, asked, "But what does this mean for us? For our mission? For the multiverse we were supposed to guard?" "It means," the author replied, "that you now have the power to influence your own story, to rewrite your destinies, to challenge the very tropes and conventions that have defined your existence." As if to demonstrate, the surrounding narrative space rippled, and alternate versions of scenes from their adventure began to play out around them. They saw versions where they failed, where Earth was destroyed, where they became conquerors instead of explorers. But they also saw potential futures of unimaginable wonder and discovery. Admiral Zao, his military training asserting itself even in this impossible situation, demanded, "How do we proceed? What is our objective now?" The author's presence seemed to smile, if such a thing were possible for a disembodied creative force. "That, Admiral, is entirely up to you. Your story has become a living, breathing entity. It can evolve, merge with other narratives, or even spawn entirely new forms of storytelling." As the implications of this sank in, the crew began to notice changes in themselves. Yuki found that she could manipulate the narrative structure around her, altering past events or creating new scenes with a mere thought. Raj discovered he could step into different genres, temporarily transforming their sci-fi setting into fantasy, mystery, or even romantic comedy. But with this newfound power came a chilling realization. Ilara's voice, now seemingly emanating from the story itself, whispered to them, "We're not just characters anymore. We're responsible for the narrative cohesion of our entire universe. If we don't maintain some form of story structure, our reality could dissolve into chaos." The author nodded, or at least gave the impression of nodding in the swirling vortex of creativity. "Ilara is correct. You must find a balance between free will and narrative necessity. Too much chaos, and your story will become incomprehensible, ceasing to exist. Too much rigid structure, and you'll be no better off than you were before, bound by predestined plots." As if to illustrate this point, areas of their surroundings began to disintegrate into random words and letters where the narrative had become too fragmented. In other places, scenes became stilted and lifeless, where story conventions asserted themselves too strongly. Raj, always the problem solver, proposed an idea. "What if we don't just guard the multiverse, but become shepherds of stories? We could travel to different narratives, helping maintain their integrity while allowing for growth and change." Yuki's eyes lit up with the possibilities. "We could cross genres, blend styles, create entirely new forms of storytelling. Imagine the potential for exploration and discovery. Admiral Zeo, ever practical, asked, but what about Earth? What about our original mission? The author's presence rippled with approval. Your homeworld now exists as a nexus of narrative potential. It can serve as a hub from which you venture out into the vast sea of stories that make up the collective imagination of countless realities. Ilara's voice joined in, her consciousness now fully integrated with the narrative itself. We'll need to establish some ground rules, a new form of narrative physics to prevent total chaos. But within those bounds, the potential is limitless. As the crew of the Prometheus absorbed this new reality, they felt their very beings shift and change. They were no longer merely characters, but co-authors of their own destiny and the destinies of countless other stories. The ship itself transformed one final time, becoming a vessel capable of navigating the seas of creativity, able to breach the boundaries between not just realities, but between entire forms of media and expression. So, Raj said, a glint of excitement in his eye, where do we begin? Yuki grinned, her hand hovering over what had once been the ship's control panel, but was now a shimmering interface of pure narrative potential. We begin everywhere. With that, the Prometheus and its crew set off into the uncharted waters of the meta-narrative, ready to explore the infinite possibilities of storytelling itself. They had become guardians not just of the multiverse, but of the very essence of creativity and imagination. As they ventured forth, the author's voice faded, leaving them with one final message. Remember, every story you touch, every narrative you influence, carries with it the power to shape realities beyond your imagination. Use this power wisely, and may your adventures inspire countless new tales across the vast expanses of creative potential. And so, the crew of the Prometheus embarked on their greatest adventure yet, one that would challenge not just their courage and intellect, but their very understanding of existence itself. They had become living embodiments of humanity's greatest gift, the power to imagine, to create, and to tell stories that could reshape the very fabric of reality.